Hi, everybody. This episode or podcast of Daniel San Wax is on. I want to talk a little bit about tradition versus dogma. We just recently wrapped up a nice self-defense seminar, and self-defense is very typically where we throw away a lot of tradition and we throw out a lot of stuff we train. And I've found in modern martial arts that there can be a very significant disconnect between our traditional stuff, our self-defense stuff, our low art, our middle art, our high art. And most of that stems from, I believe, a loss of practicality due to dogma. The only other thing it really can be is a loss of practicality due to loss of institutional knowledge. But I believe your loss of knowledge comes from dogma. So what am I talking about? So I'm in a traditional martial art. I'm not in a sport-based martial art. I don't go to a gym, throw in my wraps and get out there and hit the bags for a while and then get in and spar for a while and then go home. I did all that years ago when I was a young lad. A traditional martial arts has traditions. There are things we do that we've done throughout history of the art. A lot of times when you say traditions of martial arts, the first thing people think of is, bowing respects to the mat when you come in, taking shoes off before you get on the mat, wearing these uniforms and belts and the belt rankings and or the sashes or whatever it is your martial art wears. These traditions or the trappings of your martial art. And that's great. I love it. I love it. But all of those traditions come from a place of, if not practicality, a place of cultural relevance. So sometimes people get obsessed with the cultural relevance and they begin to take what are traditions, things that have evolved over time to meet social and practical needs, and they turn them into dogma. This is what must be done every time or else. And essentially when you start adding words like or else, or my favorite, because that's how it's always been done, then you're not in tradition anymore. Tradition is not done because it's always been done. Dogma is done because it's always been done and you don't dare question the antiquity authority. Dogma is bad. Dogma is death. Dogma is the opposite of evolution and growth. Dogma is, this is the way it's always been done, so we shall do it this way. Now, as a martial arts geek, or I don't want to say the other one out there, it's probably trademarked and I'll get in trouble, but I am a bit of a nerd. I love the history. I love studying the history. I love knowing the history. I love training with a historical mindset. But I don't train my akas or my drills or my stuff with an eye towards just an eye towards preserving the past, because a martial art that is not evolving is a dead thing, and it's only good for the history books. It's worthless otherwise. Tradition helps you build all that stuff we love about martial arts that we don't always find in other things, like the development of character, the development of integrity, honesty, a lack of ego, humility, focus, discipline, respect. These things come out of the understanding of the history and why we're doing this and driving towards being a better person. And all of that is the tradition of martial arts. But when you get into dogma, you get instructors who can say things like, because I said so. Why are we doing this? Because I said so. Why are we doing this? Because that's the way it was taught to me. How come I'm doing it this way? Because that's the way my instructor did it. All three of those answers are worthless. They're bankrupt. They're technically, morally, ethically bankrupt answers, and especially pedagogically. They're worthless. If you don't know, then you were let down by your instructor, and probably in the name of tradition, but what was really dogma. Dogma is horrible. Dogma has no place in the martial arts. Questioning is good. Evolution is good. change is good. Now, that doesn't mean throw out the old. It means evolve. It means tradition can guide us. Experimentation will teach us. And really deep understanding of our theory and application of technique will, of course, set us free. That's what we're trying to do, I believe. And I like traditions. I like traditions, but I'm not going to rigidly adhere to things for the sake of adhering to things. One of the reasons maybe I was able to avoid the trap of dogma is that Bando, to a large extent, is a fairly casual martial art. Culturally speaking, Hanthwadi Bando began, its genesis began in Myanmar, but the first guy to teach it systematically was Dr. G, who taught it in America. His father may have developed the system, but Dr. G is the one who taught it, evolved it, created it for his modern student base, and he understood from the day he began teaching that what he taught in the beginning was going to evolve as everybody learned it. And he was open to that. He was open to the understanding that bringing in a martial art and making it come to life from what was old and what was trying to be saved and preserved from the old would require massive innovation and massive evolution. And that's exactly what Hanthwadi Bando did. And so that being that way, we didn't have centuries of tradition that had become dogma to overcome. We didn't have things like anything other than a white gi is evil. No, we'll wear black for our own reasons. You must train in bare feet on mats. No. We wear shoes and socks and we train outside all the time. There's a lot of things that become dogma, and that wasn't it. Now, that's not to say you could just question anything you wanted. One of the favorite things, historically speaking, about Bando that I love is you hear any stories about Bando. If someone says, I don't understand that, they would get taught. If someone said, I don't agree with that, they would be shown why they should agree. And if somebody said, I don't think that'll work, show me, or they'd show them. Full speed, full contact. They would show them. And the beautiful thing about that is it led to an idea that everything had to be practical and work, because you were expected to show them if someone questioned you. And all of it was about, basically how you responded. That was based on how respectful they were when they came to you and how sincere they were when they came to you. But questions were encouraged. Challenging the status quo was encouraged. Not challenging your instructor so much, but challenging the status quo and saying, I don't get that, I don't see how that would work, please show me, respectfully, would get you a showing. You would get to see how it worked. And it would be done respectfully. You come up and you talk trash, you would be shown how it worked, and maybe it wouldn't be quite as respectful in its response. But that was expected of you. That was a big deal in our martial art, and that practicality requires really innovation and an open mind and evolution. So with that mindset, it's almost impossible to have dogma. Now, that's not to say you can't run into dogma now. I mean, in our system, it's been around long enough now that there are some people out there who do this because you do this because you do this. And to me, it tells me that they didn't learn everything as well as they should have. If you say you do this because that's the way it's always been done, we're kind of done. That's not an acceptable answer. That's dogmatic. So we try very hard to stay away from dogma. I love studying traditions. I love using traditions where they make sense. Especially love the way the tradition can give structure to a classroom environment, but not at the expense of free thinking, intelligent thinking, questioning, and improvising, adapting, modifying, and accommodating all learners for their learning types. It's 2023. We don't have to teach the way our teacher taught because we think that's the best way to teach. We can learn how to be good teachers. And using tradition as our framework, staying away from dogma, and embracing innovation. That's martial arts. I think that's healthy martial arts. And I think that's the way every martial art should look towards going. So that is how I describe to my students how the difference between our traditions and how we stay away from dogma. Thank you.